We have Nioh 2, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, and Ghost of Tsushima, all games set within various feudal Japanese time periods. However, there's one game, or rather franchise, that's remained dormant since the late 2000s, that being Onimusha. Those of you that have been subscribed to my channel for a while now would know that I am a huge Onimusha fan and have been dying to see a new entry in the series for a very long time. There's some small but some exciting news that I have to share with you all today. Apparently, the domain for Onimusha.com was recently updated, and you might be wondering to yourselves, well, that's it? What's so exciting about that? It's just a domain name getting updated. There's nothing really new or exciting about that. Well, the reason why I wanted to talk about this is that for a while now we've been seeing rumors of Onimusha or Dino Crisis getting reboots, usually in tandem, but we would normally see rumors of something happening with those two franchises. And only recently we've seen Capcom talk about how if a lot of people were up for a new Onimusha and a new Dino Crisis, they would do it if the demand was there. On top of that, we also had the trademark for Onimusha filed a few months ago, so in a lot of ways this is very similar to Devil May Cry 5 or Resident Evil 2 Remake, where they weren't shown for a while, but we had rumors and speculations as well as little hints here and there that alluded to something going on behind the scenes. However, what does that mean for Onimusha? Well, we could be looking at a few possibilities here since the update only says Onimusha. So firstly, we could be looking at a HD collection or remaster as one of the possibilities. If it's an HD collection or an individual remaster, there's a bit of a complicated mess with the first game because there's two different versions, Warlords being the PS2 version and Genma being the Xbox version. However, I digress. I think that fans would probably want a new release of an HD remaster or collection to be fully bundled rather than released separately. Same thing with newcomers. But I think realistically speaking that much like Resident Evil Remake and Resident Evil 0, they would probably initially only remaster one game at a time before making a complete bundle. The reason why I think that could be the case is simply put, the first two games use pre-rendered backgrounds. If the Resident Evil HD remasters are anything to go by, well, all the pre-rendered backgrounds would either be removed and replaced on a case-by-case basis, solely based on how the lighting impacted the remaster, or they were just left as is. So it really varies, but I think that they would probably use a similar method to how Resident Evil HD Remake and Resident Evil 0 HD Remaster were handled. Not to mention that there's always room to add in new content, just like those two remasters did. Thinking about it, I'd really love to see Genma Onimusha HD with some more content that it did not have originally. And in my opinion, Genma Onimusha is the definitive way to play Onimusha 1. Anyway, let's talk about some of the other possibilities here. Fully fledged remakes for the mainline titles, using the RE engine. Now this one could be a bit of a double-edged sword, because on the one hand, it'd be great to see Onimusha come back in some form, on the other hand it would mean inevitable character model changes. As we know, the Onimusha franchise is no stranger to using the likenesses of film actors. Onimusha 1 and Onimusha 3 using Takeshi Kaneshiro as Samanosuke Akechi. Onimusha 2 uses the late Yasuko Matsuda as Jubei Yagyu, and in Onimusha 3, you have Jean Reno playing as Jacques Blanc. But if we look at Resident Evil as a franchise yet again, it would not be a surprise to see character redesigns. This could be done just to make the characters look younger and potentially to not have to pay lots of money for the use of likenesses of big-time actors. I think that the most important thing is to get the characters portrayed right and the stories correct as opposed to how they look. Granted, I would miss the appearances of these characters, but it would make more sense to have a more accurate game by having the stories told properly and making the characters have the attributes that make them that character. Another possibility could be a reboot, and much like the remakes that I mentioned earlier, the characters would have inevitable redesigns, so it's a little bit more understandable in this case at least. It would have to be a fresh slate, so anything that's established in prior games would probably become irrelevant, and that's also a possibility for characters as well. Characters from previous entries could possibly not even exist in this particular version of Onimusha because it's a reboot, but that's just some food for thought there. There is one last possibility here that could happen that I didn't really think about prior, and that's a continuation to the original series. They could pull a God of War 2018 where the title is just simply Onimusha. That's what they're going to call the new Onimusha. We don't know that, but obviously that's a possibility. Now, I'm not a fan of series naming the latest entry without a number or subtitle if it's not a reboot, but I can't simply rule out the possibility here. That all said, it's just speculation on my end, so we won't know until we get official word from Capcom themselves. And as mentioned earlier, this is a very similar situation to Devil May Cry and Resident Evil, where we've had years of speculation and rumors beforehand. I can only assume that if we do get something, it's something really big, or it could be a whole lot of nothing yet again. Ultimately though, I would just love to see something come out of this franchise, just something really big, and I really hope something comes out of this small update. That's all I have to talk about for today. Please feel free to like, share what you think down in the comment section down below, rate the video, share it, and maybe even subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one.